Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Voice of the Visionary. I'm your host, Shelley Biggs. Today, I want to talk about in Romans 7, it's called the conflict of two natures. And that is in verse 14 to 29. And also in Romans 8, it expands into that about the bondage. But I see a lot of women, actually people even, just struggling with the conflict of doing things that they don't want to do. And it's hard to understand, why am I having, maybe you're struggling with junk food or something. Maybe you're struggling with alcohol or something. And you know that this isn't a right choice for you. And you're struggling, and you just, at the same time every day, this habit that comes, that you have formed in your life comes upon you, and then you create that habit over and over every day. And in Romans 7, we know that the law is spiritual, but I am a creature of the flesh, worldly, self-reliant, carnal, and unspiritual, sold into slavery to sin and serving under its control. So to me, that would say the sin. I don't know if you want to use the word sin. Today's day, we're so modernized that sin is like something you're doing that is bad, like a murder or something. And that is too, but we can sin against our own flesh and in our own bodies. And that's what this conflict here in Romans 7 is talking about. For I do not understand my own actions, and I'm baffled and bewildered by them. I do not practice what I want to do, but I am doing the very thing I hate. And I'm yielding to my human nature, my worldliness, and my sinful capacity. So if I habitually do what I do not want to do, that means I agree with the law, confessing that it is good, morally excellent. So now, if that is the case, then it is no longer I who does it, the disobedient thing, which I despise, but the sin nature which lives in me. So we all have two natures. We have our our flesh nature, or sin, and then we also have our spirit. So if we continually keep doing things that we don't want to do, what is causing you to do that? Are there thoughts that coming to your mind? Is there something you went through at work or with your kids or your family? What is there? There's maybe some root cause that is causing this, to keep this habit to stay. And what you can do, I believe, what I feel that I have done to help myself with this, and sometimes I still struggle in this area with certain things. I feel like when I feed my spirit, it becomes stronger. And feeding my spirit, I mean by that, I read the word, or I'll have worship songs on, or I'll talk to God, or my prayer life, interceding in prayer builds up my own spirit, and it makes me stronger. So when you have your sinful nature, which is our flesh, our human nature, I should say human nature, really, it can be overpowering at times, and it just dominates everything you do. And that could possibly come from it can possibly come from feeding your human nature more than you feed your spiritual nature. When you feed your spiritual nature, you build yourself up, and you become stronger in your disciplines. You become stronger in your yeses and your nos and you become stronger in following your spirit over your human nature, if that makes sense. For the good that I want to do, I do not do. I practice the very evil I do not want. But I'm doing the very thing I do not want to do. I'm no longer the one doing it. That is, it is not me that acts, but it's the sin nature which lives in me. So I find it to be the law of my inner self. So our inner self, it's a rule that we have. We're controlled by our inner self. It's like a law, is what it's saying. Evil is present in me, in the one who wants to do good. For I joyfully delight in the law of God in my inner self with my new nature. But I see a different law and rule of action in the members of my body, in its appetites and desires, which many of us struggle in this area for appetite, or eating, gluttony, like we're overeating a lot, or we're having that extra glass of wine or something, and you don't want to do it, but this human nature just keeps pulling you towards it. um, it's like a waging war against the law of my mind and subduing me and making me a prisoner of the law of sin, which is within my members, which is within me. Wretched and miserable man I am. I guess you could call yourself wretched or miserable. Thanks be to God for the deliverance through Jesus Christ our Lord. Jesus is the only one, and I say that with great confidence. I've been down many paths of different faiths, different religions through the years, and tested out different things. Um, my nature has always been with God, and Jesus is the only way. Jesus is the only one that will free us from any kind of bondage within ourselves. As we keep continually feeding our spirit and our mind and our thoughts and our soul, you will continue to wash yourself clean in the spiritual side of your life. And it's a daily habit. It's not something we just do once and it's done. It's just not heard of. You have to do it continually up until we die. It's just what we have to do. Um, and stay tuned for another episode with some more tips and some confident things, or some tips on how I raised my confidence in these areas. And stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon.